Over a decade after Prime Minister Tony Blair first floated the idea of digital identification, the conversation has resurfaced in recent months. On the 26th of September, Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced that a digital ID would become mandatory for the right to work before the end of this Parliament.
Today, I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament.
For some, this marks a long-awaited modernisation of Britain's identity infrastructure. For others, it is a move towards a surveillance state. In this video, we'll break down what a national digital ID is, how it compares to schemes abroad, the background of Blair's attempt, Starmer's new announcement, the potential benefits, the risks, and what the British public might think of such a system. Let's start with what is a national ID card. A national ID card is an identity document issued by a government that serves as an official proof of identity. While passports, driving licences, and other forms of ID exist, national ID cards are intended to be universal. The primary purpose is to provide a standardised way to verify someone's identity across multiple areas of life: work, healthcare, travel within a region, banking, and even everyday activities like collecting a parcel. Globally, national ID systems vary. In some countries, ID systems are voluntary. Take Canada, for example. Citizens can opt in, but there's no requirement to carry a national ID card. Across much of Europe, though, ID systems are compulsory. Germany, Spain, and Belgium all require them. Belgium has gone a step further since 2005. Everyone over the age of 15 had to carry an electronic eID. Romania requires IDs from age 14, Slovakia from 15, and Serbia from 16. Then you've got digital-first systems, with Estonia and India leading the way. Estonia's eID card lets people vote online, file taxes, and access almost every government service securely. India's Aadhaar program, built on biometric data, has signed up more than 1 billion people, connecting identity to welfare, banking, and even mobile services. According to Keir Starmer's announcement, the British model will fall into the compulsory category. Unlike a driving licence or passport, it would not be optional, nor tied to specific purposes like driving or travel. Instead, a digital ID would be a prerequisite for participating in key parts of society, most immediately for the right to work. Britain has wrestled with the idea of national ID for more than a century. During World War I, ID cards were introduced to help authorities manage conscription. They returned in 1939 at the outbreak of World War II to assist with the national service, food rationing and security. However, by 1952, national ID was abolished after being criticised for mission creep. Law enforcement had started using it for general policing, and opponents argued it was incompatible with British civil liberties. The debate re-emerged in the early 2000s when Tony Blair's government pitched the idea again, this time in digital form. In 2005, Blair proposed a national ID card and accompanying National Identity Register as part of the identity cards at 2006. This was not just about carrying a plastic card. It was about building a vast database. The state would hold information on every British citizen, including past addresses, NHS and national insurance numbers, and biometric data, such as digitally encoded fingerprints. Blair's pitch was ambitious. He claimed it would be the gold standard for identity verification. Blair argued that ID cards would help tackle illegal immigration, benefit fraud, and terrorism. The political climate was shaped by security concerns following the 2005 London bombings, and this strengthened his case. Legalisation even included provisions that allowed future governments to make the scheme compulsory. Yet the proposal faced massive opposition. Critics warned about the risks of a central database, the cost of implementation, and the intrusion into civil liberties. By 2010, the incoming Conservative Liberal Democrat coalition scrapped the scheme. The Conservatives argued it was costly and ineffective, while the Liberal Democrats said it was unnecessary and authoritarian. The National Identity Register was destroyed, and issued cards were cancelled. For over a decade, the concept seemed dead. Yet in recent weeks, rumours began to swirl again, and Starmer's announcement confirmed those rumours. On 26th of September, Starmer announced that a digital ID system would be mandatory for the right to work before the end of this Parliament. He framed the move as a way to modernise the UK's identity system, tackle illegal immigration, and bring Britain into alignment with many European partners. The scheme would be digital first, likely an app or digital wallet, possibly tied to biometric verification. Unlike Blair's physical card, it may not require carrying a piece of plastic, but rather a smart-based credential. Now the question is, how would it work? While finer details are still being developed, reports suggest a system along these lines. Enrolment would start with citizens and residents handing over biometric details, things like fingerprints or facial scans, along with other official documents. Next comes the digital credential. Think of it as an app or digital wallet that stores a cryptographic proof of your identity. Supporters argue that digital ID could bring some real benefits. First, immigration control. If everyone needs a verified ID to work or rent, it becomes much harder for undocumented migrants to find jobs or housing. The idea is that this would remove some of the pull factors that fuel irregular migration. Second, fraud prevention. Tying benefits and services to a secure identity make it tougher to commit benefit fraud or steal someone else's details. Third, efficiency. Think of all the times you've asked to prove who you are. Banking, healthcare, even simple admin. One universal ID could cut through the red tape and make life smoother. And fourth, global alignment. Most European countries already have national ID systems. Having one here could make cooperation on travel, trade, and security easier. But critics warn the risks are just as serious. First, civil liberties. Groups like Big Brother Watch fear we could be sleepwalking into a dystopian nightmare. A society where every move requires a digital checkpoint. Second, data security. Major breaches have already hit UK public systems, and with biometrics, the risk is permanent. You can't change your fingerprint the way you change a password. Third, mission creep. What begins with jobs and housing checks could spread to healthcare, banking, even daily travel, making ID a passport for everyday life. Fourth, exclusion. Not everyone has a smartphone or the digital skills to use one. The elderly, disabled, and those in rural areas risk being left behind. And fifth, questionable impact. As Robert Jenrick put it, many employers who hire undocumented workers do so knowingly. For them, another ID check won't make a blind bit of difference. Public opinion is mixed, but shifting. A petition against digital ID drew over 1 million signatures, triggering a debate in Parliament. Civil liberties groups remain loud, and grassroots campaigns are pushing back. What's certain is that Britain now stands at a crossroads. The digital ID debate is no longer hypothetical. It is here, and how it is handled will shape not only immigration and employment policy, but the very relationship between the citizen and the state in the digital era. What do you think about the digital ID system? Let us know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.